Welcome back to session number 5 of the Introduction to Justice Creates. Just to recap a bit from our last session, we were looking at the voice for the voiceless and how in each session the participants are exposed to a different art activity and how that kind of expands their creative horizons step by step. As we give students permission to share about themselves and their artwork, we encourage them to just process their own life and to share something about themselves with others and make that really public and let people know what it is like to be me. So this sharing becomes a healing element. And that's where exactly we are tapping into now. We are talking about the topic healing and therapy. In Justice Creates courses, we never specifically talk about a person's trauma or emotional hurt. But in most of the courses we ran, we have seen that it comes up in some form or another. We've seen it in artwork, we see it in a conversation, we see it in a poem or other written pieces that they do. It is basically it's kind of an underlying theme which the course brings about. And we have to know about this, and we have to be aware about this dynamic of the course so that we can run it efficiently. Being creative has the power really to bring healing to the inner self. And scientifically this can be proven, and this can be shown by what we call the amygdala. That's a certain part of the brain, as you can see here. This is the center of processing the link between the sensory information that comes from our senses and the emotional response that we bring, that we live out. You know, maybe we share with others or we respond to others in some sort of way, and that amygdala actually processes that link. So it's a very key element actually in what I would call the emotional intelligence of a person. It deals, of course, with all emotions. But of course, when we look at trauma and stressful situations, it processes those situations. So the amygdala can be larger and have a greater capacity to process these emotions of stress or these sensory information of stress and trauma and fear. But it can be also shrunken. It can be a very small part of the brain. And it can vary. And it can grow and shrink according to a person's life experiences. So we see that, for instance, in artists or inventors, the amygdala are very large, very developed, very well, processing that sensory information and putting it into emotions. While people who are living in constant anxiety and stress, they oftentimes have shrunken amygdala. So the capacity to deal with more stress is actually very much reduced. So how does Justice Creates become a therapeutic course? Well, it's simply letting people be creative, providing an opportunity for them to let that amygdala grow through the creative process. It's very simple. And I don't say that counseling or therapy is out of place. Of course, that has its own place. And we do not go into that in the course, of course, because we don't have the capacity to do that. But I would encourage you, if you see that there's something coming up in an individual that would need probably more processing with another person, then maybe you can have some relationship in place with a counselor or with a therapist that you can refer that person to, or can talk to about that person and see if they can meet about certain issues that come up during the course. If you are yourself a counselor and a therapist, you can do that outside the course as well with that person. During the class time, however, I would discourage you from going into a lot of conversation about the several art pieces, or maybe a certain thing that you see could be something that really saw some deeper issues there. I wouldn't want you to take a lot of time on that, because you don't have the time in the group situation like the course is. So be wise about it, how you handle it. But if you are aware of these things, you will see in certain drawings that maybe there is really things that are being processed here, and there's trauma and there's pain that comes to the surface, which is a good thing. Now, we talked about the aspect of being a voice for the voices already. That, of course, is a second way that the course becomes a therapeutic course, because you share about your life. You can share things that you have never been able to share before. For example, that might be the first time that people are asked, in your community, what it is like now, how can it be better? What would you like to see there instead of this or that? And people maybe have the first time the opportunity to make that public and say, okay, this is what really sucks about my community, what really is bad, and I would like to see this change. Why don't we have a community center or a playground or something like that? So they get it off their chest, they put it maybe in writing, they put it on a collage that they put together, and they put it in the exhibition, and there it is for everybody to see. And that is a healing thing, I think, to just get it out there. In the kids course, we incorporate a lot of physical, activities and music. So that, of course, helps simulate healing and is a good thing for people to be active. So please do engage with the children in those activities. Don't just sit back, but let everybody join in and do it together with them. It will be fun that way. So we have counter stories of people appreciating kind of this healing aspect of the course. And I want to show you one testimony of a teenage girl that shared the following. I like doing the art because it helps you relieve all the stress. And you can express what you feel inside with your art. And you can do it about the thing that is hurting. So it's really good. It helps to relieve and keep calm, so it's good. It helps to relieve your stress, like what you're feeling inside. So exactly what I was sharing earlier, that thing that is hurting, it just comes out. You can relieve it. It relieves you from this piece by doing the art. Another girl shared, I enjoy doing the art a lot. I enjoy taking my time with it. I must do my own stuff, or it doesn't feel right. It has to be my own art. I feel happy and extraordinary when I do my art, because with my own hands I do it, and with my own mind I do it. And that, I think, is the girl, like I mentioned earlier, that really had to work on her own pace and work individually and not follow so much the instructions I gave her, but she was really doing the things her way. And that's what she says, it has to be my way. I don't want it to be a certain way that people tell me. It has to be my way, which is fine. So you don't have to be an art therapist to run this course. We are not, and I don't think you need to be. Of course, it helps you, if you are an art therapist, to know a bit more, and you can go deeper with the people, possibly. But we were inspired by a book written in South Africa about the process that was done with refugee children, and they used suitcases to kind of symbolize their own baggage. Very good book, and you see it in the appendix of this video. I really recommend that book, and it was a great inspiration for us. So please do share experiences that you have with your participants with us, and we would love to hear your stories and encourage others with them. I do have a poem that I would like to put on the screen now for you to read in your own time. That was done by a 12-year-old girl about the pain that she had in her life, and it came out as one of the activities of the Justice Creates course, that she wanted to write this poem. And she did, and she put it in the exhibition with her name on it. She wanted to have her name on there. So I think it brought a lot of healing to her heart. Thank you. And as always, I include in the end of the video some resources for further study.